One of the reasons why I believe it is a good idea to deinstitutionalize the mentally ill is because their family is able to be more involved. For example, state institutions tend to prohibit visits and calls from the inmates' family members. And I believe that when inmates do not have the opportunity to get in touch with their families, they have a hard time trying to remorse their actions because they are surrounded by other bad influencers and negativity. Therefore, inmates do not have individuals to encourage or assist them to become better. Thus, with community rehabilitation centers, it brings families back together and gives them the opportunity to start over. The last reason why I consider it to be a good idea is because specialists that assist mentally ill patients are able to focus more on the treatment that is specifically needed for that inmate. For example, in prisons, they tend to isolate the mentally ill and not give them the treatment that they need. I think isolating them into a small blank room is only going to make them crazier. Not only that, but also some prisons do not even have the budget to purchase all the medication that is required for that special inmate. Thus, that is why they created the institutionalization, because they do not have enough money to take care of all the inmates. On the other hand, a community center is more beneficial because, as stated before, they will get immediate assistance and family members will also be able to help and support. Furthermore, the reasons why I may not think it's a good idea to put them back with the general population is because we can be putting individuals at risk. Even though the mentally ill can be receiving treatment, they are not yet ready to interact with the other individuals because they can still be weak-minded. What I mean by that is that maybe the sick individual can be triggered easily because they do not have control over their actions yet. Also, maybe the individual has not fully gotten rid of or will not plan to get rid of the deviance that they carry within themselves. With that being said, they can continue to hurt other people, so if policymakers want to place them back with the general public, they are jeopardizing innocent lives. Lastly, some inmates may not actually be good candidates for community centers because they require expensive treatments. For example, there are inmates that might have schizophrenia, and that can make it difficult for rehabilitation centers because they have fewer resources than a hospital or an asylum. Therefore, some inmates with major illnesses end up homeless, and that can be dangerous because, as stated before, if they do not receive the proper treatment, they might commit a deviant act again. I recommend policymakers to continue with the institutionalization because some inmates who do not commit major crimes deserve to be given a second chance. They should make these community centers stricter and prohibit these inmates to roam the streets until they are ready, just to be on the safe side and not place other people's lives at risk. Moreover, the more panic that has occurred frequently this past year were the school shootings. As of May 2018, 40 school shootings has occurred, and it has created a panic across the United States. I remember when my friends on Facebook would share about the incident, and everyone in the comments were terrified. Parents began to pull out their children from schools because it was like a domino effect. An aspect that I believe that caused the school shootings is because the perpetrator was bullied and his goal was to lash out on his classmates. It is stated that most of the perpetrators were young adults in high school, and students that survived the shooting mentioned that the delinquent was always to himself. Perhaps the shooter was depressed because most of them at the end committed suicide. Thus, they did it out of anger and revenge. The deviants behind this event were the assassinations. This catastrophe was not an accident. The goal of the shooter was to murder his own classmates, even though the shooter was also a victim because they were bullied. There could have been other ways to handle the type of situation they were in, like reporting it to a staff or even venting it to their parents. The reason why I believe this issue has acquired so much attention was because young innocent lives were taken in a cruel way. As mentioned before, the shootings kept happening one after another. It was getting out of hand, and it was putting parents and other citizens in fear. Not only that, but also politicians began to demand a new gun control policy. Lastly, it will be very difficult to deter school shootings completely, but some points that can assist to prevent them is if school faculty, like counselors, would make more of an effort to pay more attention to student body languages or signs that may convey that they have depression or some sort of problem. Secondly, perhaps parents and faculty can teach students social and emotional skills so they can be able to cope with their emotions and not lash out on other students. And most importantly, parents should know, at the end of the day, parents should know their children better than anyone else. So it will be best that if they do not make an effort to be there for them, then they should start trying to sit down and talk to them once in a while, just to make sure and to be aware of what they think of or like how they feel. Lastly, the reason why I believe that there is such a push to reconsider old criminologist ideas is because our society has changed so much. Therefore, the ideas of early philosophers may not apply to our time and the circumstances we face during this time. Furthermore, the purpose of deterrence theory is to install fear in citizens from punishment so that the criminal justice system can prevent individuals from committing crime in the future. For example, the death penalty and prison for life are on the top of all punishments. Therefore, if an individual is convicted of a crime that falls into that type of category, they will basically lose the rest of their life. With that being said, that is why there are some individuals who do not wish to commit murder, rape, or want to deal with weapons or drugs because the punishments are heavy and they will not be able to go back in time to fix them.